It's like that stubborn guy who can't fix the pipes under his sink, but won't listen to his wife who tells him he can't fix pipes under the sink until he finally breaks every pipe under the sink, and he realizes, I can't fix the pipes under my sink. Then he calls for a Savior, whether it be a friend or a plumber or a friend who is a plumber. Hey, I can't fix the pipes under my sink. I've been humbled. Can you come and do this for me? Thank you. Spiritually speaking, we can't fix the pipes under our sink. There is nothing that you and I can do to make ourselves worthy of the perfection that is God. There is none righteous. It's not graded on the curve. It's just you are dead in your transgressions and sins and unable to improve your spiritual standing. So, humility then is the first part of salvation. If you can't agree that you need a Savior, you don't get one. Now, pride is the beginning of every sin. Because here's what pride does. Pride tells you that you're not constrained by the laws. That you are somehow above what God demands. That you can somehow work this so that you can have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, you think much highly of yourselves than you really are. I do as well. And so we figure out that I'm impervious to any of the rules that God has for me. I am invincible against any of the consequences that could come. And so here I go into this addiction or into this marital affair or this, and off we go. It's pride. You with me? It's fueled by lust and by our sinful cravings and stuff, but somewhere in there our brain says, I can handle it. And off we go into sin. So pride precedes sin. Humility precedes faith. And this guy, he's basically letting on to Jesus how he got to the point where he, as a centurion in the Roman army, could begin to believe that Jesus could heal his servant. It's because he had a very clear understanding of who he was and who Jesus is. Those are the last things I want to talk to you about. When you're out of control, remember who you are. Does anybody have that mom who every time you got in trouble as a kid, that was one of the first things they said to you? Who do you think you are? Anybody got that, mom? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're the only person in the world? They got like all these little renditions of that phrase, but it all centers on and balances back to you thinking you're more important than anybody in the family, anybody in the neighborhood, anybody in your world. Who do you think you are? That's a great question in life, isn't it? Who do you think you are? Do you think you're someone who can just kind of skate on your own merits? Someone who can handle whatever the problems are in your life? Jesus could just kind of ride in the back seat, I'll steer? Is that who you think you are? Look at me. That's not who you are. That's not who any of us are. We're not licensed to drive, people. This car that is our life is meant to be a chauffeured ride. Yeah. We need to live more like preschoolers. 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, I know they're like little balls of sin, but they have some great things in them, right? They are. But they have some great things for us to learn. These are things that we grow out of because we get more autonomous and more able and proud, right? How about their fear factor, their fear reaction, okay? Now, granted, they may walk out in the road because they don't understand that cars are going to kill them, and that's why we have to help them with that. But if they have a sense of fear, they know exactly what to do. I could go over after church right now, and I could show you exactly what I'm talking about. I could walk into one of the 2 or 3-year-old little rooms, and I could walk in there, and with my booming voice and imposing figure, I could walk in there, and even though I mean well, I could be like, hey, kids! I would get this reaction from a majority of the 2 and 3-year-olds in the room. They'd stop eating the cookie they had. They'd stop playing with whatever they were playing with. They'd just be like, big ugly guy in the room, loud voice. And there is something wired up in them that they understand that I'm 2 or 3 years old. I am not able to take big ugly guy. I got to find someone who can. Hey, wait, there's a big ugly guy that lives in my house. He's here to pick me up. Where is he? He's over there. And here they run over here, right? And they find their dad. And what do they find on their dad? His leg, right? And it's one of these deals. They wrap the leg. Why? Because somewhere inside of them it's been ingrained. that if I'm in trouble, I go to the leg. Because the leg is attached to the big ugly guy that's going to protect me from the other big ugly guy. It's just inherent. It's in them, right? And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, they grow out of that. And they start feeling like, I can take on anything. They're called teenagers. Right? But don't we do that in our faith? We find Jesus, we're early on in our walk with him, and because we're so in tune with who we are and with who he is, we understand that I got to get the leg. I mean, early on in our faith, that's just like an automatic for us. But as we go on in this faith and we see more of life and we experience more of the disappointments that life can bring, and Jesus doesn't work things out like we want, we start wondering about the leg. The leg work? I don't know if it works. I bet you I could do better. Huh? That's when we start heading into faith trouble, because we forget who we are. Jesus said that. Unless you become like one of these, and he pointed to the little kids, he said you'll never understand the kingdom. Yeah, he said, hey guys, remember the leg. Remember who you are. You can't handle this. And part of us remembering who we are is the next part of the text. It's where we remember who Jesus is. Write that down in your notes and we'll go home. It says there that the centurion continues his thought. He says, you don't have to come. You have to be under my roof. I don't even consider myself worthy to come to you. But listen, just say the word, verse 7. Just say the word, and I know that my servant will be healed. Faith. Now, all you got to do is just say it. He says, here's why I know that's true. He says, I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. He says, I tell this one to go, and he goes, and that one to come, and he comes. And I say to my servant, do this, and he does that. He says, I get authority. He says, I know who I am, but I know who you are. Jesus, you're the one who apparently has power over the sicknesses of this world. You're an authority over the broken stuff of this life. And so in the same way that when I tell a soldier, hey, I need this done in this quadrant of the city by this time, and I don't have to like follow them around and make sure they do it because they know if they don't do it, I'm going to run a Roman sword through them. I mean, my authority is the law. In the military, those of you guys who are in military, those of you ladies who are in military, you don't question what the commander just says. You just say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, and you go do it. That's for him to worry about. Get your orders, follow your orders. And he says, hey, man, we're the same. I have authority. I know you have authority, Jesus. And so if you say it, it's as good as done. You don't have to be present to watch it unfold. You don't have to stand next to my servant's bed and hop around on one leg and say some magic words. No, you're in control. See, the centurion, better than his disciples would ever really understand until he had resurrected and gone off to be with the Lord, better than most of us who follow him now, this pagan Roman centurion had a fuller, more exercised faith than most of these people I just mentioned. He really did believe that Jesus was able. How big's your Jesus, church? I get in cars sometimes. I always find it really interesting to find the little figurines of Jesus on the dash. Has anybody ever seen 2-inch Jesus? I don't know what he's doing there, if he's like got some kind of force field protection going on in the car, right? But some people just feel better if they got Jesus there. I don't know. But I think these little figurines are kind of a good facsimile of how big our Jesus can be. Or how big we relegate him to be. How's that? Because some of us walk around, we got a 2-inch Jesus. That's all he's good for. He's good for the eternal stuff. When I die, I trust I'm going to go to heaven, but in this life, he's 2 inches tall. I can't trust him with anything.